Prior to working with Dr. King, my health was deteriorating. I was eating organically. I definitely ate too much sugar, and weight just kept piling up no matter what I did.
I had gone through a series of about 3.5 years of multiple surgeries, really extensive all body imbalances with a lot of drugs, and a lot of x-rays and a lot of chemicals in my body.
I definitely was at the point in my life that I knew that if I didn't start taking charge, that because my age and your body's natural inclination to, things to happen and to decline, that I was going down a path I didn't want to go down.
So our motive to see Dr. King was for me, for my husband, really to get off medications. He was overweight, and so my focus was really for his health.
So far with working with Dr. King, I lost more weight than I expected in the first couple of months. I had set a goal of 10 pounds. I've lost about 16 at this point.
I've been on since October. This is now January, and I have lost 26.5 pounds. And even through the holidays, I was able to do the program, but the tools that I was given in the program allowed me to still enjoy myself, not feel deprived, and yet still continue to lose weight, which is great considering I'm not doing a lot of activity as far as exercising.
So I've been with Dr. King now for, this is going on my 3rd month, and the results have been amazing. I wasn't one that took a lot of medication, but the acid reflux medication that I had been taking, I'm no longer taking that. I rarely am using my migraine medication. I have much less migraines, and I don't, the only other thing that I took medication-wise was ibuprofen. So I can't think of the last time that I ever even needed to use that.
The things that I've noticed mostly is my endurance, my ability to do things better, feel stronger. I've lost a little weight. I continue to work on being stronger and doing things that I like to do, and each day gives me that opportunity to do that.
I guess that sometimes we always feel like we have to jump right in to exercise and just hit the gym hard and work out hard. And you don't have to do that. You can start slow and build and work up.
So the results were the fact that after the first 30 days, I wasn't expecting weight loss, but after the first 30 days, I lost 27 pounds. I lost my gut. My joint pain was gone. I had more mobility. I had stronger endurance. And part of it was, not only did Dr. King became the guardian angel, as I mentioned, but also the mentor to stabilize me and give me stronger endurance, a stronger immune system, a stronger, healthier gut. The results have been the fact that I'm now over 40 pounds of weight loss. I'm increasing my health, my endurance, my outlook in life is just incredible from just staying connected to Dr. King's program.
Dr. King's program has allowed me to achieve my goals by losing weight, which is really important to me, and I feel more vibrant. I am a sparkle person. I sparkle usually, and it's been brought back into my life.
I feel certain that Dr. King's approach is getting me to my health goals because he tunes in so intimately to what my desires are, what my personal lifestyle is, and works very closely with me as I go through it and fine-tunes it.
I can just call him when I'm feeling that I hit a wall, and so he's always there with the encouragement, he's there with the solution, he's there with the call to action. And anytime that you go forward, you have to create new patterns. And Dr. King has helped me create new patterns. He's going to continue to help me create new patterns of good health change and good stability for mastering vitality, which is where I want to be. And I thank God for him.
I think that anybody who has any kind of challenge, like life, work, just wants to do better, even though, like myself, there was never anything that I felt was wrong, but I want to make it better. He really has done a really wonderful job, and I don't think it's just me. I think I see it. I see it in everybody's face and light up when he talks and identify with him. So, yeah, thanks, Dr. King.
My name is Kashima again. Like I told you earlier, I am so happy that you all came out to join us. We're always excited to have everyone here. Is everybody excited? All right, that's what I want to hear. So we're always excited because you've taken time out of your busy schedule to join us and listen to what Dr. King has to say about your health, which I can tell you from my own personal experience, just like many other people who some of them you've heard from earlier, been in your very same seats. This is not just your average presentation. This is a presentation that's not only going to change your health, but it's also going to change your life. A long time ago, about 9 years ago, I was very ill. I was in my early 30s and I did not know where to turn. I was in the medical field myself, and long story short, I had so many issues that no one could help me with. So I kind of did my own research because the alternative was to get on 8 different medications. I knew what that would mean. That would mean I would go down a rabbit hole that I could not get myself out of. So I opted not to do that, and I opted to learn more and meet Dr. King, who changed my life around completely. I mean, I went from a person who was active, vibrant, to somebody who was sedentary, who had young children to take care of and couldn't even take them to the park. So I just want you to relax, enjoy, and leave this evening encouraged and empowered to take control over your own health. And know that you can be the person that you want to be, that you were meant to be, because I did it as well. So please, everyone, join me in welcoming this evening's speaker, Dr. Lionel King.
All right, how's everyone doing? All right, I believe you. That's awesome. Everyone meet. First of all, give the whole staff a round of applause. I mean, Kashima, Chantel, Nick out there, right? Trust me, this is not easy to put together, all right? Did Kashima share her story with you? Yes. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. So this is the thing. Yes, we have a program. We help people. We have the method, but it really takes action. It's all about action. And what's so impressive about Kashima is that she's an action taker. And she took action in so many aspects of her life that it was extremely impressive. So impressive that I married her, and we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary not too long ago. Thank you. So basically, she started out as a client, and now she's my boss. That's basically what happened. All right, so let's jump right in here. So who in here feels that we have a health crisis on our hands? It's a big deal, right? A health crisis, health care crisis, which one? It's both. Absolutely, all the above. The question is why? I mean, what are some of the things that are contributing? Because do you feel like the health crisis is getting better, or do you think it's getting worse? Worse. It's getting worse. Despite all the technology. We spend more money on healthcare than any other nation. But yet, we're going in the wrong direction. What are some things that you feel are contributing? Anybody?
Big Pharma.
Big Pharma. I'm sorry, what's your name?
Barbara.
Barbara. Who agrees with Barbara? Big Pharma has something to do with it, right? Yeah. What else? I heard something over here. Food, right? The food industry. Absolutely. Who agrees with Kim? The food industry. So all of these things are big deals, right? And so we have to take some control in our hands, because I'm telling you right now, people don't have our best interests at heart. It's kind of like, say you're driving along in your car. Nothing's wrong. It's not backfiring or anything like that. So Philip, your car's running along just perfectly. But then all of a sudden, the check engine light comes on. When the check engine light comes on, what does that mean? Anybody? You got to call the mechanic, right? So we call the car doctor, the mechanic, say, hey, the check engine light's on. So he puts it on all these diagnostics, and then say he reaches in and then turns off that light, and send you on your way. By the end of that night or the next morning, what's going to happen? The light is going to come back on. Why does the light come back on? They didn't fix anything, right? So now we're upset. We spent all this money, all this time. We take it back in and say, hey, what the heck? The light came back on. So he says, oh, I'm sorry. Reaches back in, turns the light off, sends you on your way. By the end of that night or the next morning, what happens? Same thing. They didn't fix the problem. Now, if we continue to do this day in, day out, every single day, can someone tell me what's going to happen to the car? It's going to break down. It's going to die. Does this sound familiar? Yes. Isn't it, right? What we do with our health. What is that check engine light? The high blood pressure. The pain. Right? Now, what does our mechanic, our doctor, what do they do to turn that check engine light off? Pills, drugs, medication. Now, we think it works. We take it. If your blood pressure's up, you take that blood pressure medicine, blood pressure goes down. We think that it works. The check engine light is turned off, right? If you're in pain, if you're inflamed, you have inflammation, now you take the pill, you take the medication, that pain goes away. Check engine light turned off. We think we're doing the right thing. But is the problem, the underlying problem, being addressed? Yes or no? No. Right? And so if we don't take that pill the next day, by the end of that night or the next morning, what's going to happen? It's the pain comes back, or the high blood pressure comes right back because they didn't fix the problem. If we do this day in and day out, each and every day, someone please tell me what's going to happen to our bodies. Break down. Break down. Break down. Mike's absolutely correct. Because they didn't fix the problem. Okay? So we got to do something different. Does this seem a little different? A doctor taking you out to dinner. Is this a little different? Yes or no? Yes. It's a little different, right? Do you think that I just like taking people I don't know out to dinner? No, I don't. Maybe I need more friends. Maybe that's what it is. No, but in all seriousness, this is my mission. We have a big mission at Naples Vitality. We have a mission to change healthcare as we know it, so people don't have to continue to suffer. And so this is my passion. This is what I do. This is my job. My job is to educate. I think all doctors should educate. Does anyone know what the Latin root word for doctor means? Anyone know? It means teacher. Docere, it means to teach. I think all doctors should teach. And I'm telling you right now, I've lived here in Naples. I've practiced here in Naples since 2004. And I know just about every doctor in town, and we have some great doctors in town. We really do. They really have your best interest at heart, despite how you may be feeling right now. They really do. Let me tell you what the problem is, though. The problem is that they're handcuffed. They're handcuffed in a system that tells them what they can do, how they can do it, and how much time they have to do it in. How much time are they told that they have with each patient? About 2 minutes, right? 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the max. Is that enough time to get to the root cause of the problem? No. No, it's enough time to do what? To write a prescription. The reason why I know this is because I was in this same system. I was handcuffed. I worked in the hospital 15 years. And I noticed that people were coming into the hospital. Yes, we were saving their lives. We were getting them better enough to go home. But they end up coming right back 1 month, 6 months, a year later. Do you think that they came back healthier or sicker? Sicker. Do you think that they came back on less medications or more medications? More. When I recognized this, I knew I had to do something different. So I broke free of that. But I had to get further training. Because this is the thing, I wasn't trained originally as like a naturopathic doctor. I'm not a naturopath. I wasn't trained as like an alternative holistic medicine type person. I'm an MD. I was trained traditionally. I did my medical school, University of Wisconsin in Madison, Wisconsin. I did my residency in internal medicine at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. It didn't get any more traditional than that, right? I am blessed and grateful for such a great education, but there was a fundamental flaw in what they taught us. They taught us what to do when the symptom shows up, how to get rid of the symptom, right? You come in with high blood pressure or you come in inflamed. I know they taught me the perfect medication to write to get rid of that symptom. They didn't teach us how to get to the root cause of the problem. So I had to get further training. I got further training in what's called functional or integrative medicine. This is the study of how the body functions optimally. So instead of just treating the symptom, we actually figure out what's causing it, how to resolve that so the symptom goes away. I got further training in nutrition because nutrition is mandatory if you're going to live a long, healthy life. I got further training in hormone balance because hormones, they control every function in the body. So I did this so I could serve as an educator and as a mentor. So now what I do is I mentor people. I help them navigate between traditional medicine, which is needed, but there's a lot of problems with it. But if you're in a crisis, I think we have one of the best acute care systems in the world. So traditional medicine and alternative or more like holistic. And this is needed, but there's a lot of problems with that too because you got to be really careful because there's a lot of junk out there. So I help people navigate between the two so that they can gain their health independence and optimize their health. So that's what I do. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So let me tell you what I'm not. I'm not here as your doctor. I am not here to sell you on some magic pill. I'm not here, I don't have any magic fairy dust I could sprinkle on you. I'm not here to sell you on a special hormone treatment. Basically what I'm telling you is I can't heal you. Now, you probably didn't come here to hear that, but I can't. I don't think any doctor can heal you. Who heals you? Exactly, right? You, the God within you. We have everything that we need for our bodies to heal. We just have to give it what it needs. That's all, okay? So I am simply here as a messenger of the truth. That's it. Now, in order for me to tell you the truth, I need your permission. Because when I start telling the truth, I can ruffle some feathers, all right? So by show of hands, do I have everyone in here's permission to not hold anything back and completely tell the truth? Yes? I want to make sure. All right, beautiful. So we're all family now. I can relax. All right? So enough about me. I want to know more about you. The reason why I love doing small groups like this is because I can really, I can specify this talk dealing with what your challenges are. I assume that you're not just here for information. Would I be correct? I assume that you're here to resolve something.
Yes.
Yes? So I want to know what it is, because this is the thing about information. I think we have too much information. We're like information overload. You can Google anything. But we're using Google like that's our doctor these days, right? And is that information always the correct information for us, yes or no?
No.
No. And it's confusing. One person says you need whole grains. Then the other person says grains are the devil. And then another person says you got to be vegan, you got to be vegetarian. Then another person says no, you need animal protein, it's the only complete protein. Another person says you got to have low fat. Other person, you got to eat all fat. I was like, what the devil? We get confused, our brain just goes click. I can't figure all this out. I'm just going to go to Cheesecake Factory, right? Isn't that what happens? So I'm going to clarify a lot of this and dispel a lot of these myths, but I want to know what it is that you're here to resolve, okay? So, some of you are here because of inflammation. Inflammation means chronic pain, arthritis, right? Anyone, does that? Okay, a few people. Some of you are here because you want to learn how to lose the belly fat. You want to, learn how to slim down. Is that a few of you? Are there any autoimmune diseases out there? Let me tell you what autoimmune is. So autoimmune, thyroid, 90% of thyroid disease is autoimmune, okay? Any type of skin issues typically is autoimmune. A lot of times chronic back pain is usually autoimmune. Anything that really affects the organs. We're going to talk about autoimmunity in a little bit. So we're going to talk about that. Is there anyone here, you don't even know why you're here. You're just here to support a spouse or a friend. Anyone like that? All right, Philip. All right. So this is going to be for you. You almost wore the same shirt too. Look at that. This is for you all too, because we're going to be talking about a lot of these things that are going on. We're going to be talking about how to prevent these things. When is the best time to really master this stuff? Before something breaks or after it breaks? Which one? Before. Who said after? Before. We don't want it to break, right? And so these are the things that we're going to talk about. So I think it's going to be helpful as well. So now let's get back into the cause, because in order to fix this, we got to know the cause. We already know some industries, we already talked about them, the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry. They're always trying to sell us something. Now I know a lot of you come in here and say, well, wait a minute, he's buying us dinner. He's not just buying us dinner for nothing. He's got to be selling something, right? Who had that thought? So we just talked about telling the truth. I would be having that thought, right? Of course. So let me clarify this right now. Let me clear this up. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Let's hope I am able to sell you on something, because you're being sold every single day. You're being sold by the pharmaceutical companies. You're being sold by the food industry. You can't even open up your laptop without some pop-up ad trying to sell you something. And here's my question. The things that you're being sold, are there things that are actually helping your health or destroying your health? Which one? Destroying, right? And so this is the thing. We want to make sure that we're proactive and actually take some action. So the thing that I am going to try to sell you on is, in my opinion, the only thing that has any hope of helping, and that is action. Action. Nothing happens without action. So what does that look like at the end? First of all, if you all knew how to resolve your health concern, how many of, by show of hands, if you knew what to do to resolve your health concerns, how many of you would do your part? By show of hands, okay? So this is going to make sense to a lot of you, and at the end, I will offer, I'm not going to just leave you hanging. I will offer you a chance to take the next step and to take action. And that is going to be in the form of a way to sit down one-on-one with me so that we can talk about your individual concern and what we need to do to correct it. Okay, so a consultation. Is that fair? Yes or no? Yes. All right, beautiful. So let's dive right in here. So there's another industry that's a big problem. We already know food industry, pharmaceuticals, we already know they don't have our best interests at heart. But there was an industry that I thought had our best interests. I used to believe that the answer to our healthcare crisis was equal access. As long as everyone had health insurance, problem solved. But is that the case? No. Why is that? What does health insurance pay for? What do we use health insurance for?
For the medication.
Medications, right? We use it for tests, doctor's visits, hospitalizations, so that they can prescribe more what? More drugs. And we already talked about the drugs don't solve the problem. And here is the worst part. We say it doesn't solve the problem, but if you're covering up the symptoms, if you're turning off that check engine light, the root cause, the problem with the engine, is it staying the same? Is it getting better, or is it getting worse? Which one? Worse. It's getting worse. So insurance is contributing to the problem. The other issue that I have with insurance is they hide the cost from us. We have no idea how much stuff costs anymore, right? A simple gallbladder procedure. Everyone knows someone who's had a gallbladder procedure. What would you guess? It's not even an inpatient procedure anymore. It's outpatient, it's laparoscopic. What would you guess? How much would you guess that procedure costs? Anybody?
8,000.
We got 8,000 here. What's that? $20,000. Anyone else? 30. It's like Price is Right in here, right? We have no idea because, all we're concerned about is what the copay is. $45,000. Yes. $45,000. And that was as of 5 years ago, because we had a practice member that had a procedure, a gallbladder removed, 5 years prior. $45,000. All we're concerned about is what's coming out of our pocket. What's our copay? So say our copay is $5,000. Who pays the other 40? Insurance, right? Where does the insurance company get the money from? Us, right? Those copays, the high premiums. Let me explain to you what's going on. We are prepaying for that surgery that we haven't even had yet. We are prepaying for those medications that we're not even on yet. And human nature, now I'm guilty of this myself. Human nature, when we prepay for something, what do we want? We want it. Now I want that surgery. I want those medications. I've already paid for it. We will march in to our doctor's office and demand it. I saw this medication on TV and I want to see if my insurance pays for it, right? It's just the mentality. That's what's keeping us stuck. So we got to do something different to get out of this system. Medicare. Anybody on Medicare? Anybody have Medicare? Right? A lot of people. For those of you who don't know, Medicare, what Medicare is, it is the federal government health insurance. It's the gold standard. It's what the government says healthcare should be. And if you have other insurance, it's the same thing, because all other insurance, their guidelines are based on whose guidelines? Medicare. So let me show you what Medicare says about your health. I went on the Medicare website and I took this directly from the website. It's an exact quote. Look at this. A treatment plan that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong and enhance the quality of life, or therapy that is performed to maintain or prevent deterioration of a chronic condition is not considered to be medically reasonable or necessary, and is therefore not payable. Is that not insane? Right? I assume that you're here because you want to prevent disease. You don't want the same things that happen to your parents to happen to you, or the same things that are happening to friends and family around you. Would I be correct? Yes or no? Yes. Medicare says, sorry, we don't pay for that. You're on your own. I assume that you have stuff to do. I assume that you want to enhance your life. You want to promote health. You're on this earth for a reason, right? Would I be right or wrong? Right. Medicare says, sorry, we don't pay for that. You're on your own. So if you want anything more than what you already have, if you want more life, if you want more for your family, more for your purpose in life, we have to do something different. We got to step out of this broken symptom management system and start taking more control over our health, because there's no one coming to save us. Are we on the same page? Yep. Yes. We got to be proactive. That's the bottom line. What are some ways to be proactive? Food, right? Being proactive in our food. Exercise. I ask people all the time, are you being proactive? This one guy, he tells me, yeah, I'm proactive. I exercise every day. I said, what are you doing? He says, I walk my dog every day. This is how he's walking his dog. The dog's getting exercise. I don't know about him. But you would be surprised at the thing. People think they're doing something, you know. I think this is the Naples way of walking dogs, right? Or maybe if that was a golf cart. If it was a golf cart, that'd be the Naples way. We gotta make sure that we're being proactive. I think the best way to be proactive is to have a mentor. I believe in mentorship. Every aspect of my life. Anybody recognize this guy, the Dalai Lama? Yeah. This is one of my heroes. This is one of my mentors. I was blessed to have met the Dalai Lama. I went on a spiritual journey to India, and I got the chance to meet the Dalai Lama. And in one of his interviews, he was asked, what do you find odd about humanity? And what he says is, I find odd that man sacrifices his health to make money. And then in his latter years, he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. Can anybody relate to that? When I worked in the hospital, that's all I saw. People worked all their life to build up this nest egg for what they thought was going to be a comfortable retirement, just to see it all vanish because of medical bills. And they definitely were not comfortable. And these are people with insurance. So we got to make sure that we're proactive. I have mentors for every aspect of my life. Every aspect that I want to improve. Let me correct that. Spiritual, I have a spiritual mentor. Financial, I have a financial mentor. I too have a health mentor. Because if I spend all my time and energy trying to help you, but I forget about my own health, what's going to happen? Exactly, I'm going to go down and I'm not going to be here to help anyone. So I too have a health mentor. One of my most favorite mentors, he actually was not a doctor. He was not, he didn't go to an Ivy League school or anything like that. Actually, he dropped out of school when he was 13 because he had a large family that he had to help take care of. But he got his GED and he became a plumber. But not just any plumber. He became a well sought after plumber. Anybody heard of Sidney Poitier? Yeah. Right? He was Sidney Poitier's plumber. Ray Charles, he was Ray Charles's plumber. Like, how does that happen? How do you become like a celebrity plumber, right? So this is what he told me. He says, Lionel, all you have to do is care. Just care. Whatever you do in life. He says, I don't care if you're sweeping the floor. Sweep the floor like you care about every pair of feet that are going to walk across that floor. He used to say, have integrity. If you say you're going to do something, then what? Do it. Then do it. He says, be proactive. Don't just wait for things to break. Be proactive. And he was proactive about every aspect of his life except for one. What would you guess that one thing was? His health. His health. Now, this is the tragic part. It's not that he didn't want to be. He just didn't know because he didn't have a health mentor. He was feeling great. He didn't have any pain, right? He was fit because, he was working with his hands and everything like that, but he had high blood pressure. That was that check engine light. He had a great doctor, but the doctor just did what he was trained to do. He says, don't worry about it. Just take this medication, problem solved, check engine light turned off. He had high cholesterol. Doctor says, no problem, just take this statin drug and problem solved. Those were the check engine lights that were saying, hey, something's out of balance, something's wrong. He thought he was doing the right thing. Then years later, what happened was the engine finally broke and he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic, does anyone know the prognosis of pancreatic cancer? Yes, death. A 4-month death sentence by the time that is diagnosed. And the tragic part was that he thought he was doing everything that he was supposed to do. Can you imagine? Have you ever did anything exactly as you were told? You were on it. You thought you were doing everything that you were supposed to do, and then end up realizing that it was all wrong. It was especially tragic because that person was my dad. That's my dad in the middle, that's my mom, that's me right there. And my dad was my rock, he was my hero. But it was especially tragic for my mom. My mom and dad, they were best friends, even before I was even thought of. And it was devastating for my mom. And when my dad died, she got depressed. And what do most women do when you become depressed? Eat. And she ate. And my mom already wasn't the healthiest. She was a smoker. When my dad died, she started smoking more, developed emphysema. Barely could walk up a flight of stairs without getting short of breath. She gained 40 pounds. She became diabetic. She developed high blood pressure, high cholesterol. She had bad inflammation. She had an autoimmune disease. She had spinal stenosis and chronic pain in her back. And then she ended up having a heart attack. had 2 stents placed in the vessels in her heart. All of this was before the age of 65. So when my mom turned 70, I threw a big party. I took her on a cruise. This is a picture of her 70th birthday cruise that I took her on. Cruises were my mom's favorite vacation of life. All they are floating buffets, right? I mean, who doesn't love a cruise? You can tell I loved them too as well. I was a little chunky back then myself. So anyway, we get back from the cruise. She was living in Alabama at the time, and I was already practicing medicine here in Naples. She gives me a call. She came from her doctors and said the doctor just diagnosed me with breast cancer. So I'm like, all right, Mom, look, you're going to have to come to Naples where I know all the doctors. I know we're going to get you the best surgeon, the best oncologist, right? And that's what she did. She had surgery. She had it removed. But remember, my mom wasn't the healthiest, right? Because of the high blood pressure, the diabetes, and now having surgery, she ended up, her kidneys failed. Ended up on dialysis 3 times a week. The doctors call me. They say, Dr. King, this doesn't look good. You know, you might want to get her affairs in order. Gave her 2 years to live because all of her major organs were affected. Her lungs, her heart, her kidney. She's diabetic. She has cancer. And gave her 2 years to live, said that she would not make it past 72. So I said, you know what? At least it's not 4 months, right? My dad didn't have a health mentor. I was going to make damn sure well that my mom did. I heard about this famous doctor in New Jersey that was turning people's health around with this integrative approach. I called him up and I convinced him to help me with my mom, and I became an understudy of his. With his help, we turned my mom's health around, okay? We literally got her off. She was on 13 medications. We got her off of 10 of those 13. Now, we didn't just go throwing away medications. You don't want to do that. We got her body where it didn't need the medications. We got her to her ideal body weight. We got her down 40 pounds. Completely reversed the diabetes. Not managed, reversed. Completely reversed the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, completely reversed the heart disease. Most cardiologists will tell you that that is not possible. I'm telling you it is. We do it every single day, okay? So not only did she live to 72, she thrived right past 72. This is a picture of my mom at 81. 81. What are some of the things that you notice here? Redfish. All the guys always notice the fish.
She's thin.
She's thin. She's healthy. She's happy, right? Remember I told you 20 years prior, she was diagnosed with emphysema. Notice there's no oxygen. 20 years prior, she was diagnosed with chronic inflammation. She had chronic pain, spinal stenosis. Notice, right? She's standing upright. There's no wheelchair. There's no walker. She's holding a 7-pound redfish that we caught kayak fishing that morning. Kayak fishing. So why am I sharing this with you? You may not be dealing with kidney failure. You might not be dealing with cancer. For you, you might not like the way your body feels. Or you might not like the way that your body looks. Or you're tired of being tired. Your grandkids come and you got to spend 5 days after they leave just to recuperate, right? I don't know what it is for you, but I'm telling you right now, whatever it is, please do not let anyone tell you because of your age, because of your weight, because of some diagnosis that you've been handed, that you cannot turn it around, because it's just not so. If my mom could do it, anyone can do it. And thousands of others have done it after her. But you will need one thing. You're going to need a reason why. Why? Why is it important? If you get sick, who is going to have to take care of you? Is it your spouse? Do you want your spouse to take care of you? Is it your child? Is it your grandchild? Is that fair to them? Right? What is your reason why? For my mom, this was her reason. These two right here. That's my daughter Nyla. That's my son Nigel. And now with Kashima's two, now we have 4 kids. All right? If my mom would have passed away like predicted at 72, she never would have met any of her grandkids. Not only did she get to meet her grandkids, she got to be the grandmommy that she dreamt of being. She got to take them fishing, got to take them camping, got to read them bedtime stories. She was that fun grandmama, right? What is your reason why? My mom is the one that took this picture at my son's kindergarten graduation. What is your reason why? So thank you so much for allowing me to share my family with you. It's the reason why I do what I do, and it's important to me, so thank you for that, all right? So let's talk about some things that we know intuitively. Now, when you look at this wilted plant, what's the first thing you think of? Water. Water. What else do you think of? Sunlight, right? What else? Nutrition. Look at that. You didn't have to sit through our botany class to know this. We know this intuitively. If this was a live, colorful plant and I poured motor oil on it, what's going to happen? It's going to die, right? Toxins. Now, watch this. This is a sick, wilting human. When you look at this picture, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you look at this picture? Stomach ache. Stomach ache, right? Heartburn. Discomfort, right? We think of what medical condition do they have. Now, once we have that in our mind, what's our second thought? Go to the doctor. Go to the doctor so they can do what? They give you more medication. Right? What medication do they need? Now, we don't think this way intuitively. So why do we think this way? Brainwashed. We're brainwashed. We were programmed. Pharmaceutical companies, they spend billions of dollars every single year to get us to think this way, okay? Why? I'm gonna take it a step further, right? Everyone in this room, I want you to finish this sentence. Ready? Plop, plop, fizz, fizz.
Oh, I really fizz.
Isn't that amazing? Some of us can't remember what we did last week, but we can remember that Alka-Seltzer commercial from like 20 years ago, right? Yeah. Because yeah, right. You're just like, what are they singing back there, right? What are they? We have been programmed. We've been brainwashed. Pharmaceutical companies spend billions to get us to think this way. Doctors, we want to trust our doctors. I already told you, doctors are well-meaning, right? They have your best interest at heart, but where do they get their information from? Right? Pharmaceutical. So this is the thing. A person once told me, he says, Dr. King, you know what? You doctors, first of all, whenever the conversation starts out, you doctors, you know it ain't going to go well, right? He says, you doctors, you've just been trained by the pharmaceutical company. Now, I took offense to that. I said, well, I don't think that's fair. I spent over $200,000 on my medical school education. I went to some of the best institutions. I spent a lot of years studying. I don't think it's fair just to say I've been trained by the pharmaceutical companies. And so this is what he says. Well, he says, well, who determines the curriculum? I said, well, not the pharmaceutical companies. It's the AMA. It's the government, the medical school, doctors coming together. He says, well, who are the biggest funders of the AMA? Who would you guess? The pharmaceutical companies. He said, who do you think are the biggest funders of the medical schools? Pharmaceutical companies. He says the government. Who do you think are the biggest funders of the lobbyists, the biggest lobbyists of the health sector, right? Pharmaceutical companies and the food industry. So I was like, man, there's a big conflict of interest there. So I started to do my research. Who in here, by show of hands, feels that nutrition is mandatory if you're going to live a long, healthy life? By show of hands, right? That's common sense. How much time do you think that they spent in medical school teaching us about nutrition? 1 day. Right? 1 day? Try 3 hours. 3 hours. I remember the afternoon. There was one class. How much time do you think that they spent teaching about pharmacology? Yeah, every single semester there was at least one class. At Johns Hopkins, one of the best medical institutions in the world, I cannot remember one class on nutrition. But how much time did they spend teaching us about drugs? Every single day. Every day. So we got to ask ourselves the question, do we really think that a headache is because of a Tylenol deficiency? Right? I mean, we laugh, but isn't that how we're trained? We get a headache, are we reaching for the water? Are we reaching for the, we're reaching for the pill bottle. So I just want to really drive that home because it's so important, all right? So let's get one thing straight. The reason why they do this, why do they spend so much money? It's the best return on investment ever. Because as soon as you get diagnosed with just about anything, high blood pressure, diabetes, any type of autoimmune disease, it equals prescription drugs for how long? It's a life sentence. It's a life sentence. So let's dive in and talk about how this happens, okay? Now, the immune system. We got to understand the immune system, okay? Now, I'm going to make this very simple. We have two types of cells. We have the killer cells, the cells that eat everything, okay? This is the type of cells that go around, they're like Pac-Man, and get rid of all the bad guys. Then we have the Th2 cells. These are the ones that tell the Pac-Man cells who to eat, all right? These are your antibodies, your immunoglobulins, things of that nature. Now, as long as all of this is in balance, life is good. But what happens is it gets out of balance. One side gets more than the other, and it can go either way. The analogy that I use, it's like the police. We live in a relatively safe neighborhood, Naples. We're all blessed to live in a safe neighborhood. Now, if you think someone broke into your house, you call the cops. They send 1-2 cop cars out. They politely come in. They investigate. They find out who the culprit is. They take them in. No problem. Now, if we lived in the south side of Chicago or in some of the bad parts of LA where crime and drugs are rampant, now you call 911, they send the SWAT team, right? The SWAT team comes, and what do they do when they get to the house?
Break down the door.
They break down the door. They swing and crash through the windows. They basically tear up the house. They still get the bad guy, but now your house is destroyed, right? This is that scenario. This is like the SWAT team. So what causes this to happen? So once it happens, the way they destroy the house is with inflammation. Inflammation is the centerpiece. It's the common denominator of all of these preventable diseases, okay? So how does inflammation set in? This is really important because 50 to 60 of autoimmune diseases, it's caused by the attack of our vital organs via inflammation. Pancreas is attacked, that causes diabetes. The nervous system is attacked, that causes nervous system problems. Brain, dementia, the mental fog, the Alzheimer's, that's inflammation of the brain. Intestines, joints, the arthritis is not just because you're getting old, it's because the joints are being attacked with inflammation. The uterus, the stomach, spine, all of this, thyroid, 90% of all thyroid disease is because of an autoimmune attack via inflammation. So this is how it happens. All of these common symptoms, the check engine lights that we either ignore or we just take a pill to get rid of it, are ignored. Gas and bloating, bowel difficulty, tired, sluggish, chronic fatigue, hair loss and thinning, right? Depression, headaches, weight loss or weight gain. We think, oh, it's just because I eat too much. No, there's something going on. We're just blowing it off and we're turning off that check engine light or we're ignoring it. Skin rashes, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid disorders, heartburn. This is a big pet peeve of mine, right? How do we treat heartburn? Right? This is the thing. We need the stomach to be a certain pH. We need it to be acidic. That's how it digests the food. Now, it's not supposed to be in the chest. It's not supposed to be in the esophagus. So when it does, it burns. It's your body saying, hey, something's wrong. So rather than getting to the root cause of why it's in the chest, what do? We get rid of the acid. Now, our acid, we don't have acid in our stomach. How are we going to digest food? If we can't digest food, we cannot absorb nutrients. If we can't absorb nutrients, our bodies do not have the tools that it needs to heal itself. You see the vicious cycle? Muscle tenderness, spasms, joint stiffness, swelling, sleep disturbances, or insomnia. All of this is because of this same phenomenon, okay? Now, where does it all start? Where does it all begin? It starts in the digestive system, okay? People think that the digestive system is just your stomach. No, it's your stomach, it's your small intestines, large intestines, the pancreas, the liver, the gallbladder that we take out and throw away. All of this stuff is important because it performs very important functions in the body. Obviously, we know digestion and elimination is key. Most people that have inflammation or autoimmune diseases, I would say about 95%, they have stomach issues. Proper metabolism, healthy hormone levels. A lot of times we think, oh, our hormones are out of whack because we've gotten to a certain age. No, that's not the case. Mental health, blood sugar regulation. All of this starts in the stomach. Thyroid starts in the stomach. Liver and gallbladder function, growth and sex hormones. If your libido is shot and you have no interest, it's not because you're getting old, it's because of what I am talking about right here. Cholesterol levels, and most important, the immune system. So let's talk about how it all starts. It all starts because of this. Intestinal hyperpermeability. That's a big word. All it means is leaky gut. You probably heard of that. You know, when you hear it on the internet, or this is a big thing, leaky gut. It's like, what is that? Oh, that sounds nasty. I don't want my gut to leak, right? So let me explain what happens. It's really the lining of the stomach becomes inflamed. That causes nutrient malabsorption. You cannot absorb the nutrients. Even if you're eating healthy, you can't absorb it. This causes an immune response, and now your body's attacking stuff. Even food that you're eating, the body starts attacking it. Then that causes GI issues, multiple food intolerances that leads to an autoimmune phenomenon. And then it's just a vicious cycle and keeps going, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse while we try to chase the symptoms. So let's dive in on a microscopic level. So this is the lining of the gut. We have cells that are lined up like this. They need to be tight together. It's like an army, like the front line. It's supposed to be tight so that stuff does not get in the bloodstream that doesn't belong there. Undigested proteins, gluten, pesticides, GMOs, all of this should not be in the bloodstream. Now, once the lining of the gut gets inflamed, what ends up happening is now you have the guards separating and the stuff gets in. This is what causes the immune system to go crazy and call in the SWAT team. This is what happens. That's what leaky gut is. So what causes this? Well, let's talk about it. You're going to notice something here. You're going to notice a trend. Processed foods. That's number one. Why processed foods? Our body does not recognize the stuff that we're putting in. Has anyone picked up a package, tried to read the label? You flipped it around, tried to read it? You almost need a chemistry degree, right, Mike, to understand it? If we don't know what the hell it is, how's our body know? It starts attacking it. GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Our body's never seen it. It doesn't know what to do with it, so it attacks. Artificial additives. Notice the trend. Pesticides and herbicides. All of this stuff our body's attacking. Medications. Did you know that by law, medications have to be synthetic? Did you know that?
Yes.
Did you know why?
Because you can't patent it.
Because you can't patent it. You're absolutely right. Is it Ilse?
Ilse.
Ilse says you cannot patent it. There's a law that says you can only patent something that's synthetic. You can't patent anything that's natural. So they take a natural ingredient or substance that works and they make it synthetic just so they can make money on it. But the body doesn't recognize it, so it attacks it. Stress, a big problem. Nutrient deficiencies, we already talked about that. So these are huge problems that are causing this. So how do we identify where to even begin? We have to test. We got to test to know what's going on. I believe in testing, not guessing. Has anyone ever went to the doctor? You know you're not feeling well. You go to the doctor, they run these tests, and they say, oh, everything is normal. Give you a clean bill of health. But you know you don't feel like you should. Is that happened to anyone? The question is why. There's two reasons why that happens. Number one, they're not checking the correct tests. They're correcting some of the correct ones, but they're not checking all the tests. They only check the tests that the insurance company says that they can check. Number two is the normal values. Where do the normal values come from? It's based on the population. So whatever the average of the population is. So Canada has their own. We have our own normal values. Europe has their own normal values. Someone tell me, what is the problem with being compared to 90% of Americans? What's the problem with that?
It's very diverse.
They're unhealthy. I don't want to be compared to sick people. So what we do in our office is we have a functional lab range. Where should you be if you're optimal? Okay? It's not based on the population. So that's very, very important. We got to test. We cannot guess. So getting help. I shared with you a lot of information of what the problem is. I think it's only fair that I show you how to get out of this mess. I don't want you leaving here throwing your hands up. It's like, oh, great, now I'm depressed. Thanks, Dr. King, right? So let's talk about how we get help. Obviously, we know we can't go to this traditional system. This is a quote that blew me away. 90% of all diseases prevalent today are not treatable with orthodox medical procedures. This is not a quote by Dr. King. This is a quote by the World Health Organization. I was like, well, what the hell did I study all that time for, you know? But if you think about it, 10% is acute, 90% is chronic. So it really makes sense. So what do we need to do? We got to put together the missing pieces. So a lot of this we kind of touched upon, but let's really review what we need to put together. So say you feel like you're doing all the right things, you're eating pretty good, but your body is filled with toxins, overwhelmed with toxins quicker than the body can get rid of it. Are we going to be able to get truly healthy? Yes or no? No. What do we need to do? We got to detox. Now, I am not talking about these colon cleanses, the gallbladder flush, the cayenne pepper and maple syrup things. No, we're not talking about any fad detox. This is a process of the liver and of the gut. We got to do gut repair, okay? Very important. Nutrition. Is nutrition mandatory if you're going to live a long, healthy life? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. Now, we got to stop this dieting. Diets do not work. If you're trying to diet to lose weight, will you lose weight? Probably. Probably. Will you maintain that loss? Absolutely not. Food's not meant to be restricted. Poisonous food is meant to be restricted. The purpose of food is to not only fuel our bodies, but also to heal our bodies. And we forget about that. We just have to know what foods are healing. So what we do is we help people develop an eating strategy. Once a person finds out their eating strategy, they tell me, oh my God, I'm never going back. Because they feel great. They don't have any more cravings. They're not hungry. If you're having cravings or if you're hungry, then you know something's missing, okay? Now, I've seen some amazing things happen with nutrition and the detoxification process. Remember my mom, she had spinal stenosis, so she was limited as far as how much exercise that she could do. Fitness is mandatory if you're going to slow down the aging process, all right? Now, I see people doing this all wrong as well. You cannot exercise the weight off. If you're trying to do that, please stop. You're just going to make things worse. You cannot outrun your fork. You can't do it. What do I mean by that? Does anybody want to take a guess on how long it takes to burn 1,000 calories if you're running on a treadmill? Anybody want to take a guess? A couple hours, right? Anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. Who wants to take a guess of how long it takes to consume 1,000 calories? Right? Like that. So what happens is, I see people going in the gym, they're killing themselves. They work out for an hour, they feel great that they did it, and now there's like, oh man, I deserve a what? Right, a treat. I deserve a treat. So now they may have burned about 500 calories, and they go in and they put 1,000 in, right? If they're doing good. So now what happens is, because they're inflamed, they likely are at high risk of injuring themselves. They're not losing weight, probably gaining weight. They're putting stress on their system, putting stress on their adrenals, and now cortisol goes up, tells the body to put on more weight. So now you're gaining weight, even though you're working out, you're injured, and you're just like, you know what, forget this. I'm just giving up. I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm getting old and fat. That's it, right? Does this not sound familiar? Yes? Fitness. Hormones. Oh, well, I didn't finish. So what we want to do, so don't leave here thinking that Dr. King said I don't have to exercise. I'm not saying that. We just have to do it correctly. All we want to do, 30 minutes is all it takes, 3 times a week, with the goal of adding muscle. Why do we want to add muscle? It burns fat. Okay? We want to turn your body into a fat burning machine, not a fat storing machine. Literally, adding muscle, you will burn fat even while you're sleeping. So that's the reason why we gain weight when we get older, because we lose muscle, our metabolism slows down. So if we want to speed that metabolism up, we got to add some muscle. So hormones. Say you're exercising, you're eating right, you detox, but your insulin is way too high, you're insulin resistant, or your thyroid's all out of whack, or you have no testosterone. Are you going to be able to get truly healthy, yes or no? No. We got to know where there's hormones, okay? We got to get those hormones balanced. Very important. The nervous system. If you're consumed with stress and you're not in the right mindset, are you going to be able to get truly healthy, yes or no? No, because you're not going to take any action. So these are the things that we got to master. If you're going to turn around your health, if you're going to optimize your health, or if you're going to stay healthy, we got to master these things. So what's the best way to master this? I can give you some great books to read on nutrition. I can give you some great videos on YouTube to watch for fitness, and I can tell you what labs to tell your doctor to order. But wouldn't it be better if I walked you through and educated you on each one, at the same time helping you implement them? Kind of like what I'm doing now. Would that be better, yes or no? Yes. Right? This is the reason why we have such great results in our vitality clinic. Because ultimately, for me to help you, it's going to take an education, it's going to take structure, and it's going to take mentorship. And it has to be in an easy to follow system. Because 94% of failure is just because of not having a system. That's it, okay? So let's look at this. Dolores, so say you're coming into my office and you say, I want to be a part of Dr. King's Vitality Program and I want to be successful. If you want to be successful, are there any of these that you want to leave out? Which one of these would you want to leave out? None? Who agrees with Dolores? You don't want to leave any of them out. Who agrees? Why? Why don't you want to leave any of them out?
Well, you have to have them all.
You have to have them all, Dolores says. Absolutely. See, I have people coming to me all the time. Dr. King, you don't understand. I'm different. Right? I've tried what? Everything. And so I just said, well, let's just go through everything that you've tried. So when you think about all of the doctor plans out there, all of the health plans, the weight loss plans, whatever it is, if you combine them all, did they have a way to detox the liver and the gut? Yes or no? Typically. Yes or no? No. No. Nutrition. Did they focus on an eating strategy that's going to decrease inflammation, or do most of them focus on counting points and counting calories? Which one? Counting points and calories. Fitness. Most programs are getting this right nowadays. Hormones. Did they check your hormones and give you a way to balance them naturally? Yes or no? No. nervous system? Did they have a part in the program that supported you, kept you out of stress, so that you're not self-sabotaging, yes or no? No. So we already said if one of them are missing, there's going to be a problem. Imagine if most of them are missing. That's the problem. It's not your fault, all right? So this is Susan. Susan is a past practice member of mine. We have practice members all over the country, and she lives in Maryland, so I was doing a Skype check-in with her. Susan was frustrated because all of her friends was like, what are you complaining about? You look great for your age. What does that even mean? Don't you hate that? Like, what does that mean, right? Great for your age. Her doctors were telling her all her labs were normal, and she was frustrated. So listen to this.
The main reason why I reached out to you, because I wasn't sleeping at night. I had body aches structurally. I felt my bones ache and definitely my muscles, just pain in my body every day. Digestive problems. I was having to clear my throat all the time. I just, foggy brain. I just didn't feel well, and I didn't know what was wrong. I was following all of what I could Google and what I would hear, on how you're supposed to diet and exercise, and I thought I had a really good diet. I realized that without my health, I didn't have anything, and I was suffering privately because I just didn't want to share with anybody how I felt just not well every day. The status of all of that, I would say if I felt maybe as well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, just before I would say I would feel as good as a 5 or a 6 on a good day. But it was more around a 4 or 5. I am like a 9 or a 10 every day now.
Wow.
Without fail. No headaches, I sleep like a baby all through the night. The body aches are gone. The digestive system we cleared up. We did the food toxicity testing and unraveled that mystery and got that all cleaned up, and the hormone imbalance is balanced now, and it's just those simple changes. I feel invincible. I mean, really, like, I get up, I jump up out of bed now, and out of bed like a little old lady, and it's wonderful. I mean, as you help me and I educate in small ways and make the changes, and people want to know what I'm doing, the people around me who my family and people I love, plus people I work with, it's like a side effect that expands out from me. Even my dog's healthier. I mean, it's like the simplest things that you've taught, and by working with you, I noticed that people around me are getting healthier, and then it's going out to their families. It's like a ripple effect.
This is why I love what I do, because we hear stories like this every single day. And the beautiful thing about it is Susan was able to literally change the future of her health. Who would like to be able to change the future of your health? Only 3 people would like to change the future of your health. This is the problem. This is why most people don't raise their hands, is because we've been programmed to think that we can't. We feel that we're eventually just going to get sick like everyone else. And so we're skeptical. We say, are we able to even change it? Well, I'm telling you right now, absolutely. And all we need is a few simple things. We got to order the correct test. That's number 1. It's mandatory. We have to determine the true underlying cause of what's causing it. We cannot just treat the symptoms. We got to make sure that we correct the dysfunction. So many times I see people that says, oh, my cholesterol is normal, but they're on medication. But is that normal? No. We got to correct the dysfunction and not alter the labs with drugs. We got to address the body as a whole. We have to have a systematic approach, and most importantly, you can't do it on your own. We got to have mentorship. If we put all these together, then it's very, very simple, okay? But we got to ask ourselves these questions. I want you to do some self-reflection. This is really important. How would life be if you were able to resolve your health issues? How would life be? Better. What are some of the things that you'd be able to do? Who would it affect? Right? How would it change your quality of life? How has your life already been affected? Your relationships, the ability to enjoy life. If you were to have a heart attack or a stroke or develop cancer or something like that, some of the illnesses that my mom or dad had, how that's going to affect your relationship. When you don't feel well, are you a little irritable? Right? How do you treat your loved ones when you don't feel well? Is it hard to really do your purpose, realize your purpose if you don't feel well? It all boils down to how motivated are you. So most of you are going to want to take me up on my offer and come in for an appointment. But I'm telling you right now, if you do, and you think that I'm going to try to convince you to do a program, that's not what's going to happen, okay? And I'm not saying that to be arrogant or anything, but it just doesn't do me any good to try to convince you of anything. Because we only can accept people into our program that are 8, 9, 10 on the motivation scale. Because people that are motivated, they take what? Action. People that take action, they're the only ones that are going to get results. People that are lower on that scale, there's always like 1 or 2 people that come to me after I get through talking. It's like, Dr. King, you're such a great speaker, right? This is great. I'm going to go home and I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to call your office later. Out of all the time that I've been doing this, how often do you think that person actually calls? At least once. Right? It doesn't happen. Why doesn't it happen? Because they put off what they know they need to do to the next day. What is that called? Procrastination, right? We can't procrastinate. We'll be like this person. I love this picture. This is one of my favorite pictures, right? Now, this is the thing. Cats, they can procrastinate. They got 9 lives, okay? They got a couple chances at it. But in all seriousness, how many lives do we have? 1. Do we have time to procrastinate, yes or no? No, all right? So this brings me to the end, and I want you to really reflect. The state that your health is in right now, it is accumulation of all the decisions that you've made up until this point, especially the last 10 years. All the decisions that you make today and moving forward is going to determine the next 10 years. What is the next 10 years of your life going to be like?
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide.
I saw both sides. I saw both sides of this with my mom, the healthy side and the sick side. And I'm telling you right now, you do not want to experience that sick side. So what do we need to do to prevent that from happening? I promised you earlier that I would give you an opportunity to take action. And the program that we have with Naples Vitality, it all starts with a complete wellness evaluation, okay? So let me explain to you what's gonna happen. So with the wellness evaluation, you're gonna get some paperwork. Now, I'm gonna tell you ahead of time, the paperwork is more than what you're used to, but once you start sitting down and answering it, you're gonna realize they're not the typical questions. You're gonna actually say, man, I like this. Finally, someone's asking me the questions that should have been asked a long time ago. Now, men, we don't like filling out questionnaires. I get it. I don't like it either, but it's important. So get your significant other, your spouse to help you with it, because we're going to be talking about your history. We're going to be talking about some of your challenges, what's keeping you stuck. But most importantly, we're going to be talking about where do you want to go? What are your health goals? When was the last time a physician actually asked you about your health goals, right? And then we're going to sit down and we're going to help you decide, are you in the right place? Can we help you reach those goals? And what does that look like? And then I'll ask some questions to make sure that I can accept the case. And then if I feel like it's a good fit on both sides, then we can talk about your individual curriculum, because it's different depending on, your current situation. We have athletes that don't have any medical problems. They just want to optimize their health. They want to become stronger. They want to become faster. They may need to just do a short-term program. Then we have people that are on multiple medications. They've neglected their health for so long and they're sick. They may need to do a longer-term, more intense program. And then we have everything in between. We won't know this until we go through this process. And then by the end, we're going to have a great plan of action. Okay? So now when you go to your regular doctor for initial consultation, does anyone know how much that consultation costs? Anybody want to take a guess?
Yeah.
How much?
$145.
$145? Right? So most of us have no idea, because all we know is what our insurance covers, what our copay is. Typically, it's between $300 and $500. That's what's billed to insurance, right? And we already know who really pays that. So how much time do you get for that typically?
3 minutes.
You said 3 minutes. A little bit more than that, I hope. Well, actually, one person said 0. I was like, oh, how's that possible? He said, well, I never saw the doctor. I saw the nurse practitioner, or I saw the PA, right? Yeah. Typically, on average, it's about 15, 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So here's my question. If you had to reach in your pocket, pull out $500 for 15 minutes, would you continue to do that?
No.
No, it's not a good exchange of value. When you come in to see me, how much time should I spend with you? Half hour? As long as it takes, Kim says. That's absolutely correct. We can usually, 90% of the time, in 45 minutes, we can accomplish everything that we need and come up with a great plan of action. But I'm going to set aside an entire hour that I'm going to sit down one-on-one with you. All right? Now, should I be compensated for my time? Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. I knew I liked you. The investment is only $287. Now, I am going to incentivize you. I'm just going ahead and warn you, this is where the salesy part comes in. I'm going to reduce this for the action takers. And the reason why is because action takers, they are the ones that get results. They're the people that I like to work with, and they are the people that I like to reward. So for everyone that takes advantage of this tonight and does not procrastinate, I'm going to decrease this by $200, and the investment is only $87. Wow is right. Obviously, this doesn't cover my time. I made this so it's a no-brainer. I wanted to get rid of any excuse to procrastinate. Now, it doesn't cover my time, so why charge at all? The reason is it's called skin in the game. I've already spent over an hour with you. If I reserve an hour on my schedule that I'm going to spend one-on-one with you, and you're not willing to have skin in the game, it just tells me that I'm probably dealing with someone that their health is not a true priority. Does that make sense? Yes. So if your spouse or significant other, they also want a consultation, their investment is only $47. Now, this is for family that lives with you, so don't go telling all your cousins and everything like that, all right? If they live with you, they can take advantage of this. So that is this fair or what? Yes? Yes? So I've shared a lot of information with you, but this is just scraping the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. But I think I've shared enough with you that you really understand what's going on and you know the truth. Am I right or wrong? Right? So let me ask a question, and be truthful with me, and be honest. Now that you know the truth, by show of hands, who is going to now start taking more responsibility for your health and actually take action? By show of hands. Let me see them. Get them up high. I want to see them. All right, beautiful. It's like my dad says, integrity. If you say you're going to do something, then what?
Do it.
Then do it. Now, we asked some things of you for this. Number 1, please have the paperwork filled out. Why is that important?
Time management.
Time, yes. We are not the typical doctor's office where you spend all this time filling out paperwork and they never read it and they ask you the same questions anyway. I read everything. If you show up and the paperwork's not filled out, I'm going to ask you to fill it out before we start. That's going to take time away from the time that we have together. All right? Next, if you have a significant other or a spouse, they must come with you. Why is that important?
Motivation.
Motivation, absolutely. Accountability, support. We find that our practice members that have support at home, they do so well. Now, if you're single, you don't have to go on Match.com and go find someone to bring to the consultation. This is for my married and people with significant others, okay? Now, a common question is, well, do they have to do the consult? The answer is no. They're more than welcome to do the consult, but they don't have to do it, but they do have to be there, all right? So that is that. The next thing is, please be on time. Why is that important? Time is very important. We're not the typical doctor's office. You're not going to come in and there's some glass booth that someone's sitting behind asking you who you are and do you have insurance, okay? We have a bright, airy office. It's beautiful. Essential oils flowing, and I am on time. You will not wait an hour or even a half hour for me. The only way that I can do this is you have to be on time. All right? Is that fair? Yes or no? Yes. Beautiful. There are some common questions. If you have any questions, I'll be right up here. I'll take the mic off. I'll answer them in private. But there are some common questions. Number one, can I help everybody? What do you think the answer to that is? No. Someone said yes. I appreciate the vote of confidence. I can help most people. Let me tell you the person I cannot help. I can't help the person that's not willing to be an active participant in their own rescue. All right? The next question is, does insurance pay for this? What do you think the answer to that is? No. No. We just talked about what insurance covers, okay? Medicine, drugs to keep us stuck. Now, we can finagle sometimes and get labs covered, but you don't want to be dependent upon the government to take care of your health. What most people are really asking is it affordable? If I decide to do a curriculum, is it affordable? The answer is yes, absolutely. We work with all types of people. We work with retired people that are on fixed incomes. We even have some people, because of their health, they're not able to work and they're on disability. And so the way that we structure our payment plans, it doesn't matter how intense your program is, we can fit it into just about anyone's budget, so it only becomes a choice, okay? The next question, can I help you if you're out of town or if you're traveling a lot? What do you think the answer to that is? Yes. Some of you have been paying attention. Wonderful. So the thing that we request is the initial evaluation is done in person. After that, because of our technology, we can help you wherever you are. All right? So those are the common questions. One of the questions is, do I need to bring labs? The answer is no, you don't need to bring labs. You definitely don't need to go out and get labs because they're usually incomplete anyway. But if you have labs in the last 3 months, go ahead and bring them. That will be helpful, all right? So the other question is, how long will my curriculum be? We do not know this answer. That is the purpose of the wellness evaluation. So please don't ask Kashima or Chantel that question. That's the purpose of the consultation. So I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the office so we can sit down and figure out what we need to do to get your health optimized. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing all of you. Thank you so much.